how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to center and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9, 1230 a.m. WTBC. We're talking Alabama sports, and we're live, local, and ready to get things rolling. And we want to invite you to get in on the conversation. It's the sound of Bama sports, your show, your team. So you can join us at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904, or give your thoughts, your comments, and your reactions on the live stream at, Alabama Sports and the Martin Houston Show on Facebook. Join us there. We're talking things Alabama sports with DC Capstone Report, joining the conversation this morning. We'll get his thoughts on DeBoer and recruiting. We'll get his thoughts on we didn't get to this topic really actually about Caden Proctor's return. We'll talk about, hey, how you feeling? Are you excited about the Alabama football program moving forward? We'll talk Bama's basketball facility, agree or disagree. We'll talk about the SEC. Clearly, if you look at a poll out there, the nation's toughest toughest schedule in the country. You have to think it's going to be one of the SEC schools since college football put out, according to ESPN FPI, Football Power Index, 9 of the top 10 hardest schedules are SEC schools. 14 SEC schools in the top 25. So when you look at the hardest schedule, there's more of them in the SEC than the rest of the country combined. So we'll talk about the SEC, and as a result of that, which coaches hit the jackpot in terms of scheduling with the new, scheduling format with the addition of Oklahoma and Texas, and which coaches are probably squarely sitting on a hot seat that they're probably going to be getting off of, and whose seat's going to be warm by the end of the year. And at the same time, I'm looking at Ohio State's schedule, and just looking at their schedule, they should win the national championship, or at least they should be guaranteed with this schedule to be in the college playoffs and around one bye. It's also embarrassing when you say the schedule. Wow. Yeah. Especially when you consider how Ryan Day will be fired. I say it right now. Ryan Day will be fired if he doesn't win all of his games. We'll talk about that in just a moment as well. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone. You be the difference you want to see in the world to be a difference maker. All right. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Oh, doing great this morning. Good morning. How you doing, Martin? How you doing, X?
Doing well. But hey, I have to share a story about your nephew, my grandson. Those of you know, I haven't necessarily retired from coaching, but I've kind of stepped back a little bit, but I still try to go out and, support the grand and the oldest grandson who's playing baseball right now. And he made the All-Stars again, so congratulations to him. But he's kind of had a rough time, and some things happened at the prior game that didn't sit well with Big Papi, and I try not to get in. I try not to be one of those parents or grandparents that gets too involved, but I still like to know what's going on. So he used to bat cleanup, DC. And so I go to the game. Last game I went to, he had dropped to 5. And then the last game that I missed, he dropped to number 7 in the lineup. And in this league, if you have 13 kids, all the kids bat. Okay. So yesterday I'm watching and he's the first baseman, but he's had to catch the last couple of games because a kid was out, and he's a lefty. So he never really had to catch, but he did it. He did a decent job. Well, I felt like there was something going on. So I went and asked one of the coaches that I used to go to church with, what's going on? And he had been out, so he didn't know fully. And I said, okay, I just want to know because something's going on for him. He's not starting at first base. He's dropping the batting order. And the reason I'm sharing this for you guys is to help you out, help you understand how to handle things when it comes to sports and all this. And so I was very upset, but I wanted to find out so I could coach him. That makes sense. So I could correct his behavior if something's going on. And so the coach said, hey, listen, I don't know what's going on, but he said, it all work itself out. So I called Bray over and I said, hey, you make sure you have your mind right mentally. You get ready. You make sure you do what you're supposed to do. And when you chance, you make the most of it. And so, I'm talking to him and I said, and before you come back up to bat and before you go back out there, you make sure you pray and you ask God to bless you and I'll be praying for you, but you make sure you do what you're supposed to do. So we're waiting, and he finally comes up to bat. Last batter in the lineup. First pitch, he hits a home run over the fence, 9 years old. This is his second one on a big boy field. It was I'm hoping to get video of it. And so what I want people to walk away with is these coaches are trying to do their best. Some don't do a good job, and I disagree with the way some of the stuff that's been handled was handled. But you need to coach your kids through it, because what happens on the football field, the baseball field, the ups and downs and the struggle is going to happen in life. And so I know this is not Alabama sports, but that is a lesson, DCX, that will resonate throughout his life of how to respond when things aren't going well. And people have made a decision that you're not able to do something and they drop you and move you. And some of it could be your fault. Some of it could be their fault, their overreaction, your under response, whatever. So anyway, it was just a neat moment of showing how important it is to have the right response. Because that's what I told them. It's not what people do to you, it's how you respond to what's done. And of course, and then I give God all the glory and all the honor in that circumstance. And that's what I told him before any of this happened. He had the same answer he got afterwards. So anyway, I just want to share that to maybe encourage someone out there that may be dealing with something tough in your life. You may have a kid that's being picked on or not being treated fairly. Some of their own doing, some of the coaches doing, some are somewhere in between. But how you respond and how we coach and teach our children is the most important thing. So anything from you on that, DC?
Oh yeah, that's a perfect analogy, perfect example of how a parent or grandparent should act. And all congratulations to Braylon. I mean, it's just when I saw it on Facebook last night, I said, "Way to go," because that is the way that you handle yourself when you feel like things aren't going your way. You go up there and do your best, and it'll all work out. And that was correct. So in the praying part is the first thing. Get that praying part down. You can go. You can do wonders.
Absolutely, and so it's really neat. And what part of the reason I share that is, we talk about things like this all the time. That's what's part of the transfer portal problem is kids are giving it out, DC, when things don't go their way, right? They now have an easy escape route, and nobody closes the back door because my grandson was pouting a little, and maybe rightfully so, but just because he was pouting wasn't going to fix the issue. Responding and stepping into it and leaning into the challenge is what makes a difference. So hopefully that encourages all the sports fans out there. Hopefully some Alabama football players are listening right now, X, to the show. I know I know he's your nephew, but anything you want to say before we get ready to transition to the second quarter?
I mean, I'm hearing that just makes me proud of Bray and everything. He works his butt off, and to keep a cool head, especially at that age, is hard to do when things don't go your way, and this shows the level of maturity that he has.
And what I want to say is it's coming up on Father's Day. Fathers, that's why it's important that you are there. Fathers, it's important that you are involved in your children's lives, not just financially, but spiritually, physically, and financially. All of those areas matter, and I thank God that He gave me that opportunity, even though he's my grandson, that I had that opportunity to be there and serve in that role. And if you teach them now, when they're older, they'll respond accordingly. So with Father's Day coming up, I want to encourage you to lean in to being a father and take that responsibility greatly. The profession of fatherhood, the responsibility of fatherhood, embrace it fully and be a difference maker and a change agent in the lives of your children, grandchildren, and young men who may not have a father there. Coming back on the other side, DC, I want to talk to you about this Alabama program and some specifics, but also just the culture that appears to be rising up around Alabama football. If you look at where we are, could we be in any better place as a university, as a program, than what we are considering? The GOAT retired less than 6 months ago. We'll talk about what that means and how you're feeling as a fan. If you're out there listening, give us a call and let us know what's your thoughts in terms of DeBoer, this recruiting, the expectations, just in big seems to be rolling through Tuscaloosa, and how you feeling. Could you have asked for anything better? We'll break it down right here on your home for Alabama Sports in the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier coming up next.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We are seeing a little more volume on the roadway as we make the move into the 6 o'clock hour early this morning. No big accidents or breakdowns, though. That's the main thing. Mostly quiet ride all around the T-Town region this morning. Road work continues along eastbound 2059 between Joe Malisham and the 359. Left lane is blocked. Right lane, though, is passable. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Townsend Nissan is your #1 dealer, and they'll beat any written offer or pay you $1,000. Keeping you #1 keeps Townsend Nissan #1. See dealer for details.
This report is sponsored by Tire Rack. Nearly 3,000 teen drivers die in car crashes each year. Tire Rack Street Survival is designed to save lives. The one-day hands-on driving school gives teens experience in car control through exercises that include emergency braking and skid recovery. Find a class near you at TireRack.com/survive.
Rev up your life with a 2024 Kia Forte GT line from Julio Jones Kia. 0 down, sign and drive, it's that easy. For just $299 a month, you can own this sleek beauty. 36-month lease, 10,000 miles per year. Explore Tuscaloosa in style. Apple CarPlay, Android Audio, and more, all yours. Lease offer subject to credit approval. Taxes not included. Stock number K8796. VIN number 3KPF5480X RE771137. Julio Jones Kia at 4301 Greensboro Avenue, Tuscaloosa, or 24/7 at buyfromjulio.com.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, messy poops, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day.
Cody was sleeping a lot, wasn't playing.
She was very lethargic and not moving around.
Dry kibble just wasn't cutting it.
That's why, after more than 45 years of experience of helping dogs make complete health turnarounds, veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend. It's a freeze-dried raw dog food made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. And once dog parents switch their pups to Nature's Blend, the results can be astounding.
She's got her energy back. She's running around like she did like 5 years ago.
Miraculously, she's just feeling all around better. She's like a new dog. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Get your dog started today and save up to 54% off Nature's Blend. Plus, receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Got a beautiful day today. Lots of sunshine, not as humid. The high 86. Clear and pleasant tonight. The low 61. Tomorrow and Thursday, lots of sunshine both days. The high tomorrow 88. Turning hot on Thursday with a high at 94. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 63 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9, 1230 a.m. WBC. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. We have DC Capstone reporting in on the conversation. And we do this each and every day because we have great sponsors like Billy's Cooking Restaurant. Go check out Billy's Cooking LLC. Billy's Cooking LLC on Facebook, located over in Holt, Alabama, 3702 Alabama Avenue Northeast. That's Billy's Cooking Restaurant, 205-632-817, 205-632-8617. Or you can use DoorDash, and they'll bring it right to you. Okay, directly across from the old Holt High School. All right, DC, before we get into the before you get into the conversation around the basketball program, the football and the board, are you excited that we managed to keep our coach in terms of not keep our coach, but the UConn coach stayed, embarrassed the Lakers a little bit, and yesterday we were talking about how could the offseason be. How big a deal would it have been if Dan Hurley had left and left with Nate Oates have been potentially the hot coach in the game?
No doubt. I think if Dan Hurley left and went to the NBA, it left, Nate Oates is the top top coach in college basketball. And I still think he's buying Dan Hurley for that. But it didn't surprise me that Dan Hurley stayed at Connecticut simply because he's a very loyal person. He's always been that way everywhere he's been. And I think he just flirted with the money and with the opportunity. But, I think he, even with the NIL and transfer portal and everything else, coaching college basketball isn't as hard to deal with all the egos you deal with in the pros. So I think he made his decision, best decision for him. And
is he getting a raise out of it?
Oh, of course he will. He'll get a raise. He'll get more money for his program. He'll get facilities.
Yeah.
He'll get whatever he needs.
Yeah, when the Lakers come
sure
knocking and you decide to turn them down, you turn them down because you got something. I mean, you know, that's coaching the Lakers would be like the guy getting a chance to coach here, a la DeBoer being courted here. It was like, okay, yeah, I might have a good thing going here at Washington. But if he had stayed at Washington, that would have meant Washington had opened up the wallet. And you know, and let me ask you this question, X. If there's no LeBron James, is Hurley in the NBA?
That's a good question, but with the transfer, like UConn's one of those jobs. It's an equivalent to an Ohio State and Alabama or Georgia. With the transfer portal and all of those things, you're one of the schools everybody wants to come to. I mean, and realistically, with LeBron just finished year 21. He's got a year, 2 tops left. I mean, I don't think LeBron was as big as the deciding factor as he was.
I think he was the deciding factor because he only has 2 years left. And I think LeBron is demand what he's going to demand. And I think he would have had to work instead of him putting in his program and starting a rebuild. As a new coach, when you come in, because LeBron, it's no secret, LeBron helps coach the team and drive direction. So, DC, your thoughts there? I think that has a lot to do with it. Also, I think the three-peat possibly may have more to do with it than anything. But go ahead, DC.
No, I agree with you. I think coming back and winning a third championship, doing something that's not been done.
It hasn't been done since Wooden did it when he won, 7 in a row?
Yeah.
So no one's done it since UCLA won 7 in a row. So that was
yeah. And I think that he would be. I think that's probably the biggest motivating factor. But when I mentioned about egos and just navigating all the players in the NBA, it's a little more difficult. It takes a little more of a different demeanor to handle that. And I think that he's really built better to handle the college games than the pro game, in my opinion. But I think having LeBron there for 2 more years would be something to think about as well. Just like you said, he kind of drives the direction of the team, and how will you be able to build your team?
LeBron's there, and then I'm going to ask you one more question about that brings it back to Alabama. But LeBron being there for him, they have 3 first-round picks. They all going to be traded to get a guy that can win now versus, you know, probably drafting 3 guys to build for the future. That's just my thoughts. But if Hurley's out, does UConn make a crazy run for Nate Oates, DC? Is Alabama's coach now the Nick Saban of college basketball? Every time a job comes open, he will be 1 or 2 in the candidates, and will they go all out to get him?
Well, I don't. I think he's always going to be in the talk of candidates in college basketball and probably some pro teams. But I think in this instance, with LA already gotten so far down the road, I don't see him being a candidate in the LA.
No, I'm talking about at UConn. No, I'm talking about if Hurley had left.
Oh, at UConn.
If he left,
if Hurley had left, he would definitely be the number one target.
Because they're already talking $10, $11 million a year with Hurley before the LA gig came happening. So that we better get used to that in basketball. You know, until there's some magic moment in the future, which I don't know what that would be. Our magic moment in football, I think, was 2011, DC. When the tornado came and Miss Terry and Coach Saban went all in, and I think that solidified our run with Coach Saban as a coach. I don't think we've had that moment yet. We've had a good moment that he turned down Kentucky, but has it been solidified that you can't pull Nate Oates away from Alabama. I think it's pretty solid after this year, especially with the team he has. And I think it's based on how high he can get him. Got it to the Final Four. Can he get over that hump? That may be the deciding factor. So when you look at it, Nate Oates getting a practice facility, DC, $58 million, I think it is, 20-something million in one funding source, the rest in another, kind of a bond issue type of fundraising thing. Agree or disagree with that? That should be the next step, because all the conversation from the fan standpoint has been around new Coliseum, new venue, new Coliseum. What are your thoughts? Agree, disagree with the direction that Burns and Oates have decided to go?
Well, I think two things factored into it. One is the cost of the inflation that took place between the new drawings and then the construction cost of what it's really going to take of the vision. I think that was just outlandish as far as what they were able to do. But the other thing is, I think that what the fans have wanted and what the fans have looked for, it thinks that what Nate Oates wants. But I don't believe, from what I'm hearing from inside people, that Nate Oates had a completely different vision of what he wanted to see this team get. And I think that he was able to convince Byrne. I don't think Byrne was able to convince, but I think in working together, he was able to convince Byrne that with a little less money, he could do something for the team that was going to increase its value in terms of recruiting, bringing in the best part in the transfer portal and from high school for the player to want to come to Alabama. And I don't think, Greg, that Nate Oates has been sold on the reduction in seats to the stadium as much as the fans were. And so I think that he feels like that he can, as the team gets better, it's going to be more valuable to have a larger arena to put the people in the seats. And I think he felt like the value was in for the players, for the workout facility, for the locker rooms, and all those types of things that would be players centric. So I really think that he's getting what he wants.
X, which one you think is a bigger recruiting factor? What Nate Oates is getting, or a new arena?
A new arena. I mean, I remember how big of a deal it was when Coach Saban got the practice facilities updated at Bama, and that was kind of a changing point, a moving of the needle with a lot of things going on here. And so I think you see a similar impact with Coach Oates and this new training facility.
So you answered it by saying new arena, but then you defended it by saying new facility. You meant the practice facility. Which one? Yeah,
that's what I meant.
Yeah,
and
that's huh?
Realize, Martin. I said you have to realize, Martin, that the players and the coaches spend 90% of their time in this facility, not in the arena. It's the game time, most likely, or maybe a practice here or there. Most of the time is spent in this facility they're getting, and I think that's where he wants to put his money.
I don't have to realize it. I know it.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm talking about the fans. The fans. I'm speaking for the fans. The fans don't realize it. Fans feel like it's the arena's it. But, those new arenas that the other teams have gotten, they're not what's attracted players, I don't think, in recruiting. I think X is completely right. I think they're attracted toward what's central for them when they come.
Justin, can you do me a favor? I don't know if you can get this. I know it's really close. Everybody talks about Auburn's arena and the home court advantage. Can you look at the last 2 years? We're getting ready to go to break here. The last couple of years, Auburn at home, Alabama at home, their home records in the SEC. Because that's what everybody says is that, like, hey, we need to go like Auburn, we need to go like Ole Miss. Now, don't get me wrong. Well, I'm going to ask the question a different way. Be thinking about this, DC. There are improvements that can be made at Coleman Coliseum what are they? Okay, what would you do if you could make the changes? But this, I want to see if the myth is true in terms of it's such a big, huge home court advantage when you play at Auburn. Auburn plays at Auburn, and Alabama plays at Alabama in Coleman. We'll talk about it on the other side. We'll get to the DeBoer conversation. How excited are you as an Alabama fan with what's happening on the capstone? Could you have imagined that in 6 months from that, from the time Saban retired, that you would potentially be as excited or more excited about the football season post Saban as you've been in a long time? We'll talk about it. We'll add you to it. Coming back on the other side, we'll keep it rolling right here on the Martin Houston Show. Follow Alabama Sports and the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
One nonstop party. Save a horse, ride a cowboy. Big and Rich, featuring Gretchen Wilson.
You know I'm here for the party.
2024 Celebration Tour. One band, one show with Cowboy Troy and DJ Sinister. Saturday, July 6th, Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center. On sale now at pearlriverresort.com. Do your city.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Tuesday edition of The Game, we're going to be broadcasting down at Celebrate Local, presented by the Chamber of Commerce of West Alabama. We're going to be down at River Market from 2 until 6. We're going to feature Mike Detillier, Bill Conley, and you never know who we're going to round up right there at Celebrate Local. Come see us 2 until 6 right here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back in, Martin Houston Show. Hey, go check out Taco Casa. Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com. Quality, taste, and value. And look, if you looking, we just call this Taco Tuesday, Sweet Tea Tuesday. So go check them out over at Taco Casa. The Wilkin family has been serving Tuscaloosa, impacting Tuscaloosa both through their restaurant and through community and family of faith. Appreciate their support. My longest running sponsor and partner right here on the Martin Houston Show. So kudos to Taco Casa. Go check them out. That's tacocasa.com. 6 locations in Tuscaloosa, West Alabama. To better serve you, one up in Birmingham off of Lakeshore Drive as well. All right. DC and X, I have Justin pulling some numbers for me while he's doing that. A lot of people have talked about we need the new arena, and it'd be great to have a new arena. But part of the negativity around the arena has to do with seating. Okay. And things like that. Hold on, I think Justin has it. Justin, what's the Auburn record at home? Because it's been said so many times that that we need a new arena because we need that home court advantage. We need to help our team win more. Like Auburn. What's Auburn's home record?
Yeah, in the last 2 years, Auburn has went 29-3 in Nestle Arena.
Maybe just there may be some truth to that then, because I think we have two. Actually, no.
Yeah, I think we do.
We got
and
one
of
of
course,
them.
they only lost the one this past season to
Yeah.
Kentucky.
So okay. Now what's Alabama's record?
Alabama's record in the past 2 years at Coleman Coliseum is 29-2.
What? Hold on.
And one of those is not to Auburn. And neither of those are to Auburn.
Hold on. So we've won just as many games in this. Well, what they call it, aircraft carrier or whatever they call it, the hangar,
the hangar, the aircraft.
But DC, both teams 29, 3 losses, 2 losses. That's why I say clearly, hands down, Nate Oates knows what he's talking about. Listen, if we keep putting the product we put, do you think right now, hottest ticket, Alabama's biggest game, or in basketball or football, which one's going to be the hardest ticket to get?
Basketball.
Right. And that's
basketball. I mean, why? And I think what he says is, and I agree with Nate Oates on this, why would you build anything that takes 4,000 people away
because
from the game?
you want me to tell you why?
Large.
Because you don't think you can feel it.
Yeah.
And you couldn't feel it in times past. In the years leading up to Nate Oates. It wasn't going to fill up, right? But it fills up now. It's about.
It fills up now. Nate Oates even schedules non-conference games that people want to get a hot ticket to. I mean, we're not playing teams that he schedules teams that come in here that people want to see. So his schedule philosophy even bodes well for a bigger arena. So I just don't get the
now,
downside.
DC, what would you do to make it even more fun? Because even though we've won there, clearly the Auburn students for sure, and I do think the fans as a whole may enjoy the Coliseum more. What would you do? I mean, enjoy Auburn's facility versus Coleman. What would you do to maybe help that a little bit? The experience side.
Well, I mean, you just need to just reconfigure some of the seating, especially for get the students closer to the floor, in the ends and the corners of that section over there. And I think if they did that, they could put $10 or $12 million into reconfiguring seating and making it more of a fun experience than and make go a long way of helping the Coleman Coliseum. I don't think you need to cut down on it. I think you need to just
I think and this will upset a lot of people, a lot of money people. We're not the Lakers, and you need people on the floor, close to the floor, that's going to be into the game. Our seating and floor seating reminds me of the fraternity system at home for football. As a player, we love going on the road because all the Bama fans on the road wanted to be at the football game. When we came to Bryant-Denny, there was a huge contingency. Justin, you may not even know what this is, but when I was playing, the big thing was the wave. Right? Now, do y'all guys do that? Do they still do that a little bit occasionally?
They, they really only do it now. If you've been to a game, Martin, recently, when they turn the lights off and they have us put up our phone flashlights, they try to do it then. But that's pretty much
that was
the
the thing. That was the flashlight thing. Okay, when I was coming along, but it would happen all throughout the game. Any moment it could break out. And I'm talking about the stadium will be rocking. Everybody is yelling, right, DC, as it's coming along. And at Bryant-Denny, when it would hit the Greek section, it would just go quiet. And as a player on the field, we would notice it. I mean, that's how crazy it was. Because they'd be like, like they would literally go through the amount of seconds it would take to clear the Greek section. Then the other side would start back. And it used to drive I know that sounds crazy, but fan engagement is important. It's not the facility. In other words, when they added the deck, when they did all, that didn't change anything. It was the fans' engagement that changed what would happen on the court. And that's why I say, Coleman, if you want to do something, put up curtains like Bruce Pearl did many moons ago at Tennessee. He put up black curtains, and when they didn't have a big game, they would just move all the seats down. When they had a big game, they would move the curtain, and all the seats would be used. It was kind of a pretty neat thing that he did there up at Tennessee. So, anyway, X, anything you do different? You probably got the same answers DC had.
Yeah, DC nailed it. I mean, I don't think there's much difference that you can do than that. It's always going to be something to complain about, but just I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah,
with that
I think
idea.
Nate Oates nailed it. This is going to take his recruiting to the next level. DC, and this is a 2-year process, pretty much, meaning that they'll build it this year, next year, 2026. Hopefully, they'll have it, and then the conversation probably does swing to a new arena or a revamp of Coleman, which bodes well for Alabama, in my opinion. I think Nate Oates wants to see this through, so it probably gives us another 2 to 4 year lock with Nate Oates as our coach, if he can keep this thing rolling. So, any thoughts on that before we bring Philip on?
I agree. I think it was strategically done just for that very reason.
Yeah, I think that Burns and everything, hey, let's get this so we make a huge improvement, huge investment. And to Kennington Smith's conversation, it shows a commitment to basketball unlike we've probably seen in a long time, if ever. And this is the best time to put and elevate basketball to be on par. It won't ever overtake football, but be on par for the sports base it has, fan base it has. Philip, you're on the Alabama One hotline with Martin, Xavier, and DC. What's on your mind?
Good morning, guys. Martin, have you ever seen Neville Arena from the outside?
Cement barn. I mean,
yeah, it's preposterous. It's preposterously ugly. Inside, the arena inside the arena is very intimate and a fun engagement for the fans. So, but outside Neville Arena is one of the most horrifically pieces of architecture, probably around.
Hey, what I've heard, Philip, what I've heard compared to like Ole Miss and other places, Neville Arena on the inside is bare. It's intimate and it's closed, but it's really nothing. It's just closed. They don't have a like supposedly Ole Miss has all types of amenities. I've never been to either one of them, but I've heard people compare the two. And I could be wrong. I've never been in it, so.
Yeah, I've been in it probably 10 times, and it's intimate and a fun experience if you're an Auburn fan, and all that. Which I get it, but outside it's a ridiculous, it's a preposterously ugly arena. All right, Coleman Coliseum. Here's what I'd do if I was Elon Musk and I became an Alabama fan and wanted to give Alabama a lot of money. I think Coleman. First of all, the facility they're building now, it's not going to be ready until March of 2026. So, we can hold our roll about talking about a new arena probably. But if they're going to do anything, while they're doing that, I think if they made use of glass, a lot of glass walls, a glass entryway, kind of a really a lot of glass work to welcome the fans in and sort of have natural light, and all that, I think would look really good. have some more lounge areas where fans could watch the games from areas that look like little living rooms, sofas and things like that you can actually see. I think it would take some creativity and a lot of changes internally, but I think it could be done. The main thing I want to see done at Coleman is have those darn corners rearranged as to where the fans are looking straight away at the action instead of craning their necks.
I've never sat in the corner, but so that all sounds like a good idea. And guess what? Some of that making happen now. Philip, I got to get the break here, but let me tell you why. The big concourse is what we call it. That was part of the running. We used to have to run that thing. And it was like going around in NASCAR. You never stop leaning. You're always in a circle is what you felt like all the way around. It was like we're always turning. We're coming up on the next turn, and you never get to the next turn. So they may not have to.
I'm like Roger Patrick Myers. Roger says that Coleman's fine. I agree with Roger now. I used to not agree with that, but I think he's right. And I think Coleman's got good bones. It just needs a little spice of modernity, a little spice of modernity.
We need the brothers to come lead us through a renovation, Coleman Coliseum makeover. All right, thanks, man. We'll be back on the other side right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. If you're traveling 2059 from Foster's to Cottondale, the trip along Lurling Wallace coming down from Northport across the Hugh Thomas Bridge to the University exit, and McFarland from Coker continuing down to U of A and I-20 beyond. No big problem spots on the board at this still early hour, so enjoy it while it lasts. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Tuesday morning. Effective this fall, students in grades 6 through 12 in Alabama will now be required to take drug education classes on fentanyl prevention and drug poisoning, one of the biggest problems anywhere in the country. DCH Dr. Elvin Crawford Tony's partner ABC 3340. He thinks it's a good idea. The Price-Hornsby Act mandates public school districts develop curriculums and teaches students about the dangers of fentanyl use, one of the big killers in Alabama. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news. I'm Don Hurt.
Townsend Nissan is your #1 dealer, and they'll beat any written offer or pay you $1,000. Keeping you #1 keeps Townsend Nissan #1. See dealer for details.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
Rev up your life with the 2024 Kia Forte GT line from Julio Jones Kia. 0 down, signing drive, it's that easy. For just $299 a month, you can own this sleek beauty. 36-month lease, 10,000 miles per year. Explore Tuscaloosa in style. Apple CarPlay, Android Audio, and more, all yours. Lease offer subject to credit approval. Taxes not included. Stock number K8796. VIN number 3KPF5480X RE771137. Julio Jones Kia at 4301 Greensboro Avenue, Tuscaloosa, or 24/7 at buyfromjulio.com.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with a 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get in the seat or visit a dealer near you.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports Xavier Houston.
Welcome back in. It's the fourth quarter of the Martin Houston Show. Time for the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week. Harvest Church 2-minute warning. Sorry. That's tomorrow. We'll have the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week with Scotty Hollins. Virgil Williams paraphrasing his thoughts. All the talk about changing the arena is for the fans. He worked security at Bryant-Denny, and he said, he put all these boxes and indoor seating, and he said the fans come and they watch the game on TV. What's the purpose? They're missing all the action, and it can hurt the home experience, the home game experience versus them being out there in the crowd yelling. That's the reason I usually don't go to football games. I'm not the best football fan, DC. I know I'm not the best stadium fan. I'm not boisterous when I'm there because of the way, not that it's not my personality, it's just that I watch the game differently. Now I get passionate and all that, and probably part of it is I want to make sure I maintain my testimony. Pat, you're on real quick. Pat, I got to ask DC a couple questions about the football program, but you wanted to say something about the Coliseum.
Yes, but I want to take and move the guys around, the students all behind both basketball goals on the ends, and they have some kind of unique paraphernalia that makes it to where it's impossible to make a shot for the opposing.
You remember the ugly face guy?
You remember the ugly? Yeah, like him. I mean, just crazy, something. But there's nothing wrong with Coleman Coliseum. My issue is that there's no reason for a commemorative cup to cost $12.
They're trying to build that new arena. They're trying to build that new arena, Pat. I got to let you go.
I can care less about a new arena. All right, but anyway,
okay, thanks, Pat. All right, hey, listen, DC, that's the reason that cup costs $12 because everybody been asking for that new arena. But DC, sure. Just a couple quick questions for you, sir. If someone had told you that we'd be where we are, man, how are you feeling? I asked this question yesterday. Stole it from Ryan Fowler. If you had a choice between last year's Nick Saban and his staff or Kalen DeBoer and this staff, which one would you be more excited about leading this team into 2024?
Well, that's a no-brainer. I think I'm definitely more excited about this new staff. You tell me we have the same offensive line coach, same offensive coordinator coming back, I would have probably been begrudgingly going into the season thinking about what was going to happen. But I'm excited about this new staff. I mean, we got a coach, which I think is, Coach Saban. Don't get me wrong, I am not throwing shade toward Coach Saban. Coach Saban was great, is still great, all the greatest of all time. But I think they coach two different ways, and one thing particularly is different about them. That is, Coach Saban was leadership. And I think Coach DeBoer is relationship. And I think this relationship is what translates better to the players in this year, 2024. And I think we've seen that in how great a job he's done in recruiting, how great a job he's got. I mean, the most impressive thing about that I've seen happen is players. I mean, who would have told you, if I'd have told you, Martin, we're going to go through this quarterback room and nobody's going to transfer, you would have told me I was crazy prior to this season. I mean, but that tells you about relationships, building relationships. And then yesterday when I hear that his player from Atlanta drives all the way over to help him recruit to the University of Alabama, Michael Penix has no ties to the University of Alabama, but he has ties to Kalen DeBoer. And so I think relationship is the big thing that's going to make a difference. That's what I'm excited about. Players buy into relationships. Players follow leaders in the battle. But players buy into relationship, and when you get a team to buy in, I think you don't have to come up with some kind of outward motivation. You got it inward motivation with the relationship. That's what I'm excited
How does you think that translates into? You mentioned briefly the portal. Is that going to be the ticket to keep guys from transferring? Because I don't think it's just relationships that they're building with the coaches. I think they're encouraging relationships with the coaches and with each other.
Yeah, and I think not only his coaches, but Courtney Morgan, I think, is a big part of this. General manager. I mean, when you say coaches, I don't guess you're talking about him.
No, I'm talking about the players. Yeah,
I'm talking about building relationships with each other.
I include him with the staff.
Yeah, I think make it. Anytime you put down roots to a place, it's hard to leave. And you put down roots within investment in relationships with each other. And I think you can see that with Caden Proctor coming back. My opinion was that he had relationships with some of those players that he never got over. I mean, he had that love for going home and homesickness, but it was overridden by the roots that he had developed here at Alabama. So I see that as a positive for people not leaving, going to other places, and sticking with Coach DeBoer and his staff and with the players.
And DC, it's only a couple minutes left. Anything burning in your gut that you say, hey, you want to hit on before we get ready to wrap things up?
I think the recruiting thing, and X is a recruiting guru, and he can speak to this. Everybody who said that this man couldn't recruit ought to be eating crow right
Choking
now.
on
because
crow.
He can recruit. Not only can he recruit, but you got players making quick decisions after official visits to here. That means that players invested in players. That'll only grow as we get players here. And I think that's going to even be a big help down the road. I think our recruiting is going to be, people are going to say stuff about this man until he gets to top class, but I think we're headed to top class.
We're currently sitting at number 1 in the 247 composite. Who would have thunk it? Number 1 in the SEC, but number 1 in the nation. Tell them where they can find you, DC.
DCCapstoneReport.com, DC Capstone Report Facebook page. Check out Lance's other sites, RollTideBama.com, FreelancePictures.com. And I always want to thank my sponsor, Karen Cottingham, Realtor, right here at the Williams Group in Tuscaloosa, for allowing me to be on your program. It's a great, if you need any great time to buy, great time to sell. If you need to contact a realtor, Karen's your person to 205-887-4008.
Very few people can negotiate an NFL contract, and not the same way in negotiating a house deal. So get you an agent to help you with that, and Karen Cottingham can do that with the Keller Williams Group, Keller Williams Group. So, all right, hey, that's DC Capstone Report. We had X, who joins us each and every day. We'll be back tomorrow for Would You Rather Wednesday. We'll look at a couple other aspects. We'll kick this scheduling thing to tomorrow. The SEC has 9 of the top 10 hardest schedules according to ESPN FPI. We'll talk about that. We'll do a little buy sale on tomorrow. Thanks to all the callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters for being a part of the program. Thank you, DC. Thank you, Destin. And hey, 29-3 was Auburn's home record. 29-2 is Alabama's home record. Maybe we need a practice facility more than we need a new Coliseum. Maybe we'll be even better and go to 30-1 or maybe 31-0. We'll talk about it. We'll keep it going. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide out there, everybody. Catch you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston